Hey guys, this video is going to go through lesson 10.1, kind of a continuation of yesterday, and we're going to learn about the volume of cylinders. Please have a calculator ready to go, and your notebook and your math book. And then we can get going. All right, so our learning intention today is that you can use the formula for volume of a cylinder to find the volume of a cylinder if I give you a diameter or a radius. So that is what we're going to work on today. All right, I want to make sure when you were taking notes yesterday that you wrote this down in your notebook. So first thing, hopefully you wrote down cylinder on a notebook page. Hopefully you actually drew one so you knew what a cylinder was. So if you didn't, go ahead and draw one. Hopefully you kind of just labeled this is the height of a cylinder. It connects the two bases. And then this is the base of a cylinder. To find the area of that base, it's the area of a circle. So it's pi r squared. Okay, so you should have written the formula down, and it's the area of the base times the height. Hopefully you wrote area of the base, and then you wrote height. And then by area of the base, hopefully the area of a base is a circle, so you wrote pi r squared. Okay, so if you like this formula better, you can also write this down. It's pi r squared times the height. And then I know in the video yesterday, I just talked about that this is a radius. Hopefully you had that down. And this is a diameter. Okay, so just make sure you had those notes down from yesterday. I'll do one example that you can put in your notes, and then we're just going to go into your math book and do a couple problems. All right, so let's just practice one from yesterday. So again, here's a cylinder. I might tell you that the height is 14. I'm going to tell you the diameter going all the way across is 12. We'll just say centimeters, and I want to find the volume. So a lot of you yesterday on the worksheet that you were doing, you weren't really showing any work. I'm going to expect to see the formula. So volume equals, it's pi r squared h. I want to see what you're typing in. So when I do this, I'm going to put pi. We're always going to use 3.14. The radius, I'm going to use, radius is halfway across. So halfway across there is only 6. So I'm going to use for the radius 6. So I'll put 6 squared, and then the height, 14. All right, then I'm going to grab my calculator, and just like yesterday, I always told you to do this first, 6 squared, which is 36. Now you can times that by 14 and 3.14. So go ahead and type that in. All right, it looks like I end up for the volume of this, I get 1582.56, and volume is always cubed, centimeters cubed. And again, volume is basically, if this was like a soda can or pop can, if I like filled this up with soup or soda or whatever could go inside there, that's volume. All right, so now we're going to go in our math books. On page 535, this is just for your reference. So if you ever want to look at the picture of a cylinder and you can kind of see everything labeled, that is there for you. And then again, if you look on page 536, if I was asking you for the volume from a calculator, the approximate volume, remember, that's where we put that approximate symbol. I should have even done that on the last slide. I forget that a little bit. But you should say it's approximately that. If you're going to leave it in terms of pi without actually typing in what pi is, you would just write it as 112 times pi inches cubed. This is more exact because pi just keeps going on forever. So this one is way more exact, but if we ask you for approximate, you would use your calculator and type that in. All right, let's try this one, and let's leave it in terms of pi. So let's try to find the volume of this, and let's leave it with pi. So we want more the exact volume. All right, so my formula, this is on page 536, by the way, is the area of the base times the height. Well, I can see my height connects the two bases, so it's 8. I'm going to fill that in where the h is. The area of the base is pi times the radius squared, right, because the base is a circle. Well, it looks like my radius is 1.5, and I'll square that. Okay, now there's my volume. Now, to leave it in terms of pi, I am going to do 1.5 squared first. So I have my calculator. I'm doing that right now. 1.5 times 1.5. I end up with 2.25. Then I'm going to times that by 8. I end up with 18. I'm not going to times it by pi. I'm just going to leave that pi symbol. This is more exact. So my volume, my exact volume is 18 times pi centimeters cubed. that would be in terms of pi. If I asked you for the approximate, I'd put that symbol, and then I would actually times it by 3.14. All right, let's actually try to solve a problem now involving cylinders. So you had lots of practice just finding the volume yesterday. Now let's actually do a problem where we have to do some more things. So this is on page 538. So first, let's go ahead and read through this, and let's underline anything that is important. It says a metal paperweight, you can see the paperweight over here, is in the shape of a cylinder. So you guys can see that's a cylinder. The paperweight has a height of 1.5 inches, so it shows you that there, and a diameter of 2 inches. Again, that's all the way across the middle. It says, how much does the paperweight weigh if 1 cubic inch of metal weighs 1.8 ounces? Round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so every 1 cubic inch of metal that is in this paperweight weighs 1.8 ounces, and we want to round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so first we need to figure out, well, how many cubic inches are in there? So basically, what is the volume of this cylinder? So if I'm doing it, we can kind of fill this in. They gave you the formula right here if you're looking at the steps. So I'm going to fill in, well, my radius is halfway across, which is just 1. So I can put a 1 there. My height is going to go here, is 1.5. Okay, so now I can do 1 squared easily in my head. That's 1. And then times 1.5 is 1.5. So I'm going to type in 1.5 times 3.14. And I end up with 4.71 approximately. Okay, it does say round to the nearest tenth. So I'm just going to change that to 4.7. Okay, so now I know that the volume of the paperweight, so that would be like how much it holds on the inside, is 4.7 cubic inches. Okay, now I want to find out what this actually weighs, the paperweight weighs. So it says every cubic inch, so every 1 cubic inch of metal weighs 1.8 ounces. So if I just had 1 cubic inch, I would have 1.8 ounces. 2, I would do 2 times 1.8. 3, I would do 3 times 1.8. Well, I have 4.7 cubic inches. So that means I need to do 4.7 times 1.8. And I end up with 8.46 ounces. So that is how much that paperweight weighs. So now let's try the check on page 538. So I want you to pause the video, and I want you guys to try this one without my help, and then let's play when you're ready to watch it. All right, so it says a scented candle is in the shape of a cylinder. So hopefully you just drew a scented candle or a cylinder. It doesn't actually need to look like a candle. It says the radius is 4, so that's halfway across. I'll just label 4. The height is 12, so I'll put my height here from base to base is 12. It says find the mass of the wax needed to make the candle if every 1 cubic centimeter of wax has a mass of 3.5 grams, and then round to the nearest tenth. All right, so first I need to see how much wax is in that candle, right? And then I'll find the mass of it. So first let's go ahead and find the volume. So I should have done pi r squared times the height. Well, pi is 3.14. My radius is 4. I'm not going to put squared, right? You guys can see where I'm getting all this stuff from. And my height is 12. So first I need to go ahead and find that. And then the directions say round to the nearest tenths, just as an FYI. So I'm going to do the 4 squared first, which is 16. And then I will times that by 12 and times 3.14. And I end up with 602.88. If I round to the nearest tenth, that's 602.9. So that's the volume. And then I'll just put centimeters cubed. Okay, now it says, let's go back to the problem. It says every 1 cubic centimeter of wax. So every one of these has a mass of 3.5 grams. Okay, so every one of those has a mass of 3.5 grams. So I'm going to take that number and I'm just going to times that by 3. Okay, so I'm just going to clear my calculator, 602.9 times 3, and I end up with 1808.7 grams. That is how much wax I would need to make that candle. All right, we're going to try one more problem, and this is kind of a challenge problem that is not in your math book. So you could do this anywhere, but let's see if we can solve this. Okay, I bet you guys can. So this time, I'm going to tell you the volume of a cylinder. So I have a cylinder, Okay, I'm going to tell you on the inside of that, the volume is 2034.72. Okay, so this time I'm kind of giving you the answer, the volume. I'm going to tell you that the radius of this cylinder is 9. So that's 9. This time we do not know the height. I'm just going to call that h. So I do not know how tall it is. I want to know, can we find that height? All right, I'm just going to start by writing the formula down. Volume equals pi r squared times height. I want you to go ahead and fill in what you know. Fill in any numbers that you know. Okay, and then I want you to just push pause. Try. Do you think you could find the height somehow using what you know? So I want you to pause the video, push play when you're ready to see me do this challenge problem. All right, so I'm going to fill in the volume actually over here. I know the volume is 2034.72. I know pi is 3.14. I know my radius is 9 squared. I do not know my height. So this is what I am missing right here, my height. Okay, I bet we can solve for this if we drew our line down. Okay, well, let's actually work out this part of the equation here. Well, 9 squared is 81, okay, times 3.14 times my height. I'm going to work that out on my calculator. I'm going to do 3.14 times 81, which gives me 254.34 times the height. Okay, over here I have 2034.72. Okay, I have one more step. If you want to get this h by itself, pretend it was like an x. You have one last step. You guys know when you're solving equations, divide by that number. So divide by 254.34. That'll cancel here, and I just have my height. Over here, I'm going to divide by 254.34. Okay, so this will take me a second to type this in, but you guys can type it in too. 2034.72 divided by 254.34. I end up with a height of 8. So now I worked backwards and I found the missing height. So that's kind of a challenge problem. We'll be doing this later in the chapter, but I just wanted to show you one. All right, so hopefully by the end of today, you can find the volume of a cylinder and you can solve some problems involving volume of cylinders as well. Your homework is going to be a worksheet 10-4, day 2 worksheet, so please make sure you complete that. And then if you have any questions at all, I will be in the class kick to help you. So just go in the May 19th class kick. And I can help you with any problems on the worksheet. You can also ask people in your group when they are done with the video.